Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, devs speak up about the PS5 Pro, and Square Enix going full multi-platform. All this in today's video. Please like the video, subscribe to never miss a PlayStation update, and share the video to help grow our community. Now let's talk about Horizon Zero Dawn and its remaster, as it has been rated by the ESRB. While Horizon Zero Dawn is already available on both PC and PS5 via backwards compatibility, this remastered version is expected to bring significant improvements. The remaster will likely update character models from the original PS4 release, aligning them with the PS5 version of Horizon Forbidden West, which should be a visual upgrade. The original PC release was in 2020, and it was already enhanced. The game had improved draw distances and higher frame rates, though mostly used assets from the PS4 version. Although there's no release date for the remaster yet. And with all of that said, none of this is exciting because this was a promo title for the PS4 Pro, and yet another game we simply have not asked for. I wonder, does Sony ever consider remastering Bloodborne? You know, a game that we have been asking for a long time now. My biggest concern is with the rumored state of play coming up. We could be looking at this as the show headliner, which would be immensely disappointing, as we've been wanting to hear about so many other projects in the works. And look, I know they have greatness in production, but I think most fans just want to know even a little bit about what's planned for 2025 and beyond. And I get it. Some people say be patient and wait for them to ready up. We have been patient for a while now, though, and I think asking for a little something isn't too demanding, at least not from a fan base that has been showing a lot of support for their games, for their hardware. Now, please, Sony, do not make Horizon Zero Dawn remake or remaster, whatever it is, your headliner for the upcoming state of play. If that's the case, there's going to be so many disappointed people because, man, like, we're already accepting the reality that we may not be getting a showcase this year. But to give us a state of play and to headline it with Horizon Zero Dawn remaster or remake or whatever it would really, really be a bummer. And while this is pure speculation, guys, I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen, but I think we are probably getting some sort of announcement soon, given the ESRB rating has gone up now. So really curious to see what they end up showing us. But again, I hope we get something more than just Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster. Now, moving on, we're talking about the PS5 Pro as devs speak up. Yesterday, Vince Zampella, head of Respawn and now overseeing the Battlefield franchise, shared his thoughts on the recently announced PS5 Pro during an interview with IGN about the next Battlefield game. When asked about the new console from a development standpoint, Zampella seemed fairly indifferent, acknowledging that while it likely allow for faster performance and some enhanced visual effects, it doesn't change much for developers right now. In his own words, in quotes, "I mean, we're not out yet, so does it really help us? Not right now. Can we do cooler things on it? Sure, I guess we'll see. As we see what the adoption is, we'll see how much it really affects us. We have to make a game that runs on everything, so it'll just be like, what can we plus up on something like that?" Pun intended, end quote. His take on the pricing, though, was more intriguing. Zampella acknowledged that while the price of the PS5 Pro may have seemed high initially, it makes sense when you look at the overall value. In quotes, "I think it's expected, and anything that gets us better performance for the people that really love it, to me, it's an amazing thing. I was watching something on it where they look at it, is it the most expensive? And it really isn't. If you go back, some of the older consoles were just as expensive and probably adjusted for inflation were probably more. So it at first seemed a little shocking, but it's kind of like it's actually not that bad. And if you get a $700 PC, you're not getting the same performance that you're getting out of it," end quote. He admitted that while the price point is high and not everyone will be able to afford it, the balance between performance and cost justifies it. In quotes, "Is it expensive for people? Absolutely. Not everybody will be able to afford it. Would it be better if it was cheaper? Sure. I want more people to have it, but it makes sense, really," end quote. The PS5 Pro's pricing has been a hot topic since Sony's announcement, with fans voicing their frustrations. Despite the backlash, analysts predict that Sony will likely replicate the success they had with the PS4 Pro. Richard Ledbetter of Digital Foundry also pointed out that a PC offering the same level of performance would cost more than a $700 price tag of the PS5 Pro. And guys, the PS5 Pro is coming out November 7th. And that's the thing here, right? The PS5 Pro, yes, it's got a sticker shock factor to it, but at the same time, you do got to look at the performance and tech you're getting, and these things naturally are going to be more expensive. And the devs seem to align with that, and they're not very surprised by just how expensive the price tag is on it, but rather that it makes a lot of sense as well. So at the end of the day, it's, again, we've talked about this before. It's one of those things, if you want to have the best console experience, the PS5 Pro is there for you. If you are happy with your PS5, you just stick with your PS5. Or if you've got a PC, then this conversation is really not geared towards you, because PS5 Pro is for consumers who are already in the PlayStation ecosystem, who already have a library. Very few people will be jumping on the PS5 Pro as their first PlayStation console, especially in the last 3 generations. So it's really one of those situations where this is geared towards people who already own a PS5. Well, let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. Moving to our last topic, Square Enix says they're going multi-plat. Square Enix has officially announced that it's shifting to a multi-platform strategy, likely in response to some recent underperformance, both with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy XVI not meeting the company's sales expectations. In a results briefing from May, Square Enix admitted profits unfortunately did not meet its expectations. The company further noted that despite the release of Foam Stars and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in Q4, initial sales were not as strong as expected. At the time of the investor briefing, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth had only been out for about a month. What's interesting is that all 3 of these underperforming titles were originally PS5 exclusive. It raises the question of whether Square Enix could have brought in more revenue had they released games on Xbox Series S and X as well. Since then, Final Fantasy XVI has launched on PC, and while 7 Rebirth remains a PS5 exclusive for now, the first game in the FF7 Remake trilogy eventually made its way to PC, so it's reasonable to expect that the sequel will follow suit eventually. In the same briefing, Square Enix confirmed its commitment to a broader approach, stating that it will shift to a multi-platform strategy. The company explained, in the case of HD games, we will create a global environment that allows more customers to enjoy our major franchises and AAA titles, including from our back catalog. This shift seems like a natural next step as Square Enix looks to reach a wider audience and recover from recent sales disappointments. And look, I think a strategy to launch games on PC and PS5 is ideal, and if they can manage the addition of Nintendo Switch 2, it will move more units. I don't think Xbox is really going to move the needle for them, especially not today. Maybe in the 360 gen, yeah. Maybe even early Xbox One gen, yeah. Series gen, just, it's not doing it, right? Like, I mean, they've got 30-ish million units out there. A lot of their audience is not really buying games, and that's seen by sales data. It's not a shock factor that, you know, this is a situation where their most likely chance of moving units is going to be PC, PS5, and big time Nintendo Switch, especially if they can get their games on Nintendo Switch too. So this is likely their best bet to move units and improve sales. I will also say that Square Enix is often disappointed with sales expectations of their games, so it makes it hard to take them seriously when everything has astronomical expectations. Looking at Foam Stars, for example, the reason that game failed was hardly due to its exclusivity, but more about the quality of the game and the lack of appeal to the casual audience, along with a price tag for a game that likely should have been free to play. And I'm sure we can do a lot of speculation on how this may have happened, and a lot of people will, you know, blame it on one platform or the other, but the reality is that there are many games that are exclusive that have moved mass amounts of units. Sometimes it's about the appeal and the broad appeal of a game, and sometimes it is a factor of how many places is it available. In the case of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I do think it would have benefited greatly from launching on PC day and date, and I do think it would have benefited greatly from launching on Nintendo Switch, because those platforms are massive and they have a huge user base, and likely would have moved a lot of units day one if it launched day one. And I think that we'll definitely see Square Enix explore this if they don't have any more exclusivity agreements with PlayStation. If they do, I could totally see that maybe they would try to sneak in a day and date launch with PC, at least on the 3rd installment of Final Fantasy VII, and then obviously future installments of the Final Fantasy series as well. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Please let me know in the comments what you guys think. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and share the video to keep this community growing. I thank you all for watching. Take care.